Do not look at the doors, Nathan Rourke said, and Allison Pierce obeyed before she understood why. At 9:42 on a Thursday night, rain pressed against the 48th floor windows of Pierce Meridian Systems, turning downtown Chicago into a field of broken headlights and black glass. Every elevator had stopped between floors. Every phone on the executive level had lost its signal. The boardroom lights had shifted to emergency red, leaving 12 directors, 3 attorneys, and one 7-year-old girl suspended in a silence so complete that Allison could hear the ventilation system winding down. 6 black sport utility vehicles rolled beneath the covered entrance 30 stories below. Their doors opened together. 12 people in dark tactical jackets crossed the lobby with the unhurried confidence of people who already possessed the building. "They are here for me," Allison whispered. Trevor Lang, Pierce Meridian security director, lifted his radio and received only static. Brooke Ellis stopped typing. Emily Rourke sat near the interior wall with a yellow flashlight across her knees and her purple backpack tucked beneath her chair. Nathan stood between his daughter and the glass, still wearing the gray work shirt and temporary badge Trevor had mocked that morning. He did not watch the lobby feed. He watched the reflections in the windows. 12 entered, Trevor said. Federal response. Nathan counted the intervals between the magnetic locks releasing below. 6 are federal, he said. The other 6 copied their formation. Allison turned toward him. The service elevator chimed. Its doors opened, and a woman in a navy field coat stepped onto the floor with 5 agents behind her. She saw Nathan, stopped, and forgot the question she had been about to ask. No theatrical pause followed. No one counted seconds. She simply stared at a man the federal government had listed as dead for 6 years. "Nathan," she said. The name came out before the rank. Nathan's expression changed for the first time that night. Not surprise. Regret. "Rachel," he answered. The woman looked toward Emily, then back at him. "We received a Black Harbor code from this building." Trevor lowered his radio. Allison gripped the edge of the table. She had seen that phrase once before, inside a classified briefing her father had locked away after a failed government extraction in Baltimore. The operation had ended with 2 civilians dead and a commander who disappeared before the inquiry. Nathan looked toward the security map glowing red on the wall. "Who authenticated the code?" Rachel asked. "I did," he said. Then a second signal appeared on the screen, using the same federal encryption. Rachel's face hardened. "That is impossible." Nathan watched another lock release beneath their feet. "No," he said quietly. "It means the person who destroyed my unit 6 years ago is inside this building." 11 hours earlier, Nathan Rourke entered the same glass lobby carrying a paper lunch bag in one hand and holding Emily's hand with the other. Morning sunlight stretched across the marble floor in clean white bands, catching on polished shoes, silver watches, and the black uniforms of Pierce Meridian's permanent security staff. Nathan's boots had been repaired twice along the soles. Emily wore a purple backpack and carried the yellow flashlight her mother had bought during their last family trip. Her school had closed that morning after a heating pipe burst, and the neighbor who normally watched her had been taken to the hospital with chest pain. Nathan had called the staffing agency, the building receptionist, and Trevor Lang's office before accepting the shift. Trevor still greeted them as though Nathan had arrived with an excuse instead of a child. "Tell me the agency did not turn my lobby into a daycare," he said. 2 guards laughed. Emily heard them and moved half a step closer to her father. Nathan crouched, checked the emergency contact card in her backpack, and tightened one loose shoelace. "She will remain beside me until the school arranges transport," he said. Trevor glanced at his tablet. "You were hired to observe the East Service entrance. Not improvise family policy." Allison Pierce crossed the lobby with Brooke Ellis beside her, carrying a silver folder marked confidential. She heard the exchange. Her eyes paused on Emily, then Nathan. Then the waiting elevator. Make sure the child stays away from restricted areas, she told Trevor. It was not cruel, but it was not kind. It was the voice of a chief executive reducing a human problem to a liability. Nathan watched the doors close behind her. Emily looked up at him. Does she not like us? She does not know us, he said. Trevor handed Nathan a temporary badge, a radio, and a warning to remain below the executive floors. Nathan signed the assignment sheet without argument. Near the East Service corridor, he stopped beneath camera 14. Its lens should have covered the entrance. Instead, it faced 3 degrees toward the restricted elevator bank. He checked the mounting bracket. No tool marks. Someone with access had adjusted it from the control room. At 9:18, a badge assigned to a former facilities employee opened the east door. At 9:21, the same badge appeared on the 36th floor. At 9:22, it vanished from the logs. Nathan wrote the times on the back of his lunch receipt. Emily sat behind a concrete column with her coloring book. Are you working already? She asked. I am trying to decide whether the building is making a mistake, Nathan said. Buildings do not make mistakes. Nathan looked toward the camera. No. People teach them. Nathan had once believed he could teach systems to protect people from every kind of betrayal. 6 years earlier, he commanded a federal executive recovery unit known inside classified channels as Black Harbor. His team extracted judges, diplomats, engineers, and witnesses from compromised locations. They were trained to recognize the small failures that arrived before violence, a clock running 4 seconds slow, a driver wearing the wrong shoes, a route altered by someone who claimed it was more efficient. Nathan's deputy commander was Elias Voss, a gifted strategist who could memorize a building after seeing one floor plan. Rachel Monroe ran communications. Hannah Rourke analyzed threat intelligence and had the rare ability to question Nathan without challenging his authority. She was also his wife. The operation that ended Black Harbor began with a courthouse witness in Baltimore. Intelligence warned that the protected route had been compromised. Nathan requested a delay. Elias argued that waiting would expose the witness to a larger threat. A senior official ordered the movement to continue. Nathan made the final call. The convoy left. An explosive device struck the support vehicle outside the courthouse. The witness survived. 2 federal drivers and Hannah did not. Nathan spent the next 4 months searching for the leak. The evidence led toward Elias, then disappeared. Access records were rewritten. Financial files were sealed. One witness withdrew a statement after receiving an anonymous threat. Before Nathan could confront his deputy, Elias died in a warehouse fire, and the inquiry classified the failure as an intelligence breakdown. Rachel told Nathan the conclusion was incomplete. Nathan told her incomplete was still final. He resigned, sealed his own operational record, and allowed the agency to list him as presumed dead after a later protection program changed his identity status. He said he did it for Emily. Part of that was true. The part he never admitted was that he no longer trusted his judgment. Every night decision carried Hannah's name inside it. Every emergency call reminded him that he had chosen a mission over waiting for one more confirmation. He moved to Chicago, repaired alarms, inspected commercial buildings, and never accepted work that placed another person's life directly in his hands. That morning at Pierce Meridian, a black sport utility vehicle remained parked across the street for 11 minutes. Near the rear plate was a narrow silver line, the old Black Harbor field mark. Nathan had designed it as a silent recognition symbol. Only 6 people had ever known it. 3 were dead. Rachel was in Washington. Nathan was standing in the lobby. Elias Voss had supposedly burned with the warehouse. Nathan stared at the symbol until the vehicle pulled away. Emily appeared beside him with a green crayon in her hand. "You look scared," she said. Nathan almost denied it. Instead, he nodded. "I am remembering something I should not have stopped asking about." Nathan began with facts he could defend. At 10:26, a white catering van entered the loading dock with no refrigeration unit, although its manifest listed 24 trays of chilled food. The driver wore warehouse coveralls and shoes without a single crease. At 10:31, camera 14 shifted another degree. At 10:36, an obsolete badge opened a fire door near the private elevators. Nathan photographed the van, copied the badge number, and went to Trevor's office. Trevor was reviewing schedules with two supervisors. Nathan placed a report on the desk. This credential was used after being deactivated 6 months ago. Trevor barely looked at it. Then the database retained an old permission. The same credential appeared 19 floors higher 3 minutes later. Clock drift. The clocks are synchronized. Trevor leaned back. You are here for a temporary post, Rourke. We have a $280 million defense routing agreement signing tonight. Every contractor sees danger when they want a permanent job. Nathan let the insult pass. Move Allison Pierce away from the east elevators. Trevor's expression changed. You do not use her first name. Then move the chief executive officer. Return to your station. Nathan picked up the report. At the door, he stopped. Who approved the catering vehicle? Trevor checked his screen. Brooke Ellis. Nathan said nothing, but the answer disturbed him. Brooke had crossed the lobby carrying legal folders at the exact time the van arrived. She appeared organized, observant, and close enough to Allison to know the contract details. An hour later, Nathan found her outside the executive corridor. He asked whether she had authorized catering. Brooke frowned. I approved the company, not the vehicle. Mitchell Crane's office changed the vendor last night. Mitchell was Pierce Meridian's chief financial officer and Allison's closest advisor. Nathan had expected the name. What he had not expected was Brooke's next sentence. Trevor's office requested the change. The trail pointed in 2 directions. That made it useful. Nathan checked the emergency evacuation map. The east route had been revised to pass the loading dock. A fire door closer had been replaced with a model that could be remotely held open. Both changes carried legitimate approvals. One came from finance. One came from security. Either Mitchell and Trevor were working together, or someone wanted the evidence to make that conclusion unavoidable. Nathan saw Allison enter the boardroom. He should have reported the Black Harbor symbol then. He should have called Rachel. Instead, he remembered Baltimore, remembered acting before proof was complete, and chose to observe longer. That hesitation became his first mistake. At 12:14, the catering van left the loading dock. Hidden beneath its chassis was a relay device already connected to the building network. By the time Nathan recognized the signal, the people behind the breach no longer needed the van. Allison Pierce had spent 15 years building a company that rewarded certainty, and by noon uncertainty had begun arriving from every direction. 3 anonymous messages had reached her private phone during the previous 12 days. Cancel the transfer. Walk away from the contract. The final message appeared that morning, or the building chooses for you. She had shown the messages only to Mitchell Crane. He had worked beside her for 9 years, guided the company through 2 acquisitions, and protected her father's reputation during the difficult months before his death. Mitchell told her the threats were probably an attempt to influence valuation. Trevor agreed. Public concern before the signing could destroy confidence. Allison accepted their advice because it aligned with what she wanted to believe. At 1:17, Nathan entered the executive boardroom without permission and knelt beside the walnut conference table. Trevor moved toward him, but Nathan removed a small transmitter from behind the central power channel. A blue indicator blinked once every 4 seconds. This has been sending the board's audio outside the building, Nathan said. Mitchell gave a quiet laugh. Or a contractor just placed it there. The room turned toward Nathan's gray shirt, worn boots, and temporary badge. Trevor asked for the device. Nathan placed it in a clear water glass instead. Do not touch the casing. It may preserve prints. Allison studied him. How? Did you know where to look? The fire door changes created a clean path from the loading dock to this room. Whoever planned that path needed confirmation that the agreement remained here. Mitchell folded his arms. You are making an accusation without evidence. Nathan looked at him, then Trevor. I am saying the evidence is arranged too neatly. That answer surprised Allison. A man seeking attention would have named a villain. Nathan was warning her not to choose one too quickly. Trevor ordered 2 guards to escort him downstairs. Brooke stepped forward. He found the transmitter. And may have planted it, Trevor replied. Emily was visible beyond the glass wall, sitting with her flashlight beside a stack of legal boxes. Nathan looked at Allison. Who knew about the messages? Allison felt the room narrow. That information is not relevant. It is the only part that matters. Mitchell answered for her. You are done here. Nathan allowed the guards to take his radio and badge. Before leaving, he faced Allison. At 9 tonight, do not enter the emergency safe room. Trevor laughed once. The safe room is the most secure location in the building. Nathan looked at the revised floor plan. That is why they want her there. Allison watched him leave, unsettled less by the warning than by the fact that he had not asked her to trust him. He had only asked her to notice what happened next. At 3:08, Allison found Nathan and Emily near the service entrance waiting for the school district van that had been delayed by traffic. She had come downstairs to question Trevor about the transmitter, but Trevor was in the control room and Mitchell was speaking with federal contract attorneys. Nathan was alone with his daughter beside the concrete column. Allison stopped several feet away. Why should I avoid the safe room? Nathan did not stand. He was repairing the flashlight's loose battery cover with a strip of black tape. Because its mechanical lock was reversed during last week's renovation. It locks from the corridor. Yes. Trevor says that is a containment feature. Containment of whom? Allison had no answer. Emily looked between them. Dad says a safe place. Should let the right person leave. Nathan closed the flashlight and handed it back to her. Allison lowered her voice. You asked who knew about the messages. Mitchell and Trevor. Only them. Brooke saw one by accident. Nathan absorbed that. 3 possible leaks, all close to Allison. Why did you not call federal authorities? He asked. Because this company employs 4,000 people. A public investigation could destroy the agreement and hundreds of jobs. That is not the same as protecting them. Allison's expression hardened. You do not know what leadership requires. The words reached him where she could not see. Nathan looked at Emily, then toward the rain beginning beyond the glass. I know what it costs when a leader mistakes urgency for certainty. Allison heard regret beneath the sentence. Who were you? She asked. Nathan returned the tape to his tool pouch. Someone who made a decision before every question was answered. The district van arrived. Nathan helped Emily into it, confirmed the driver's identification, and watched until it left the property. Allison expected him to go home. Instead, he turned back toward the building. Your assignment was terminated, she said. My daughter is safe now. That does not restore your access. No, he looked up at camera 14. But whoever moved that camera expects me to leave. Allison considered the man Trevor had called unstable and Mitchell had called opportunistic. She had no proof Nathan was trustworthy. She also had no proof the people advising her were not. Brooke can issue you a visitor credential, she said. It will not open restricted systems. Nathan hesitated. Accepting meant placing himself back in a role he had abandoned. Refusing meant leaving Allison inside a pattern he recognized. I will stay until the board vote, he said. Under one condition. Which is? If I tell you to leave a room, you decide based on what I have shown you, not on who you think I am. Allison nodded. It was the first time she chose his judgment before knowing his title. By 7:30, Nathan and Brooke had identified 5 additional anomalies. The transmitter beneath the table used a protected federal frequency. The catering relay had copied Trevor's master credential. Mitchell's finance account had approved the changed evacuation route, but the request originated from Brooke's terminal while she was physically inside Allison's office. Someone was arranging the evidence so every trusted person looked guilty. Nathan understood the design immediately. After the breach, they would accuse one another while investigators seized a system already scrubbed clean. The real architect would disappear behind their conflict. At 8:12, Rachel Monroe answered the Black Harbor authentication phrase. "Nathan," she said. He gave her the building, the duplicated federal frequency, the old field mark and the possibility that Elias Voss had survived. Rachel's silence lasted too long. "We never recovered his body," she admitted. Nathan turned away from the boardroom glass. "You told me the fire was conclusive. I told you the evidence was incomplete. You told me you were finished." Rachel agreed to bring 5 agents through the South Service entrance using no standard route transmissions. Before Nathan could end the call, Trevor entered with 2 guards and threw the transmitter report onto the table. "His fingerprints are on the device." Mitchell followed with a second document. Nathan's archived federal identity had accessed Pierce Meridian's network 4 times during the previous month. Brooke stared at him. Allison did not. "Explain it," she said. Nathan examined the records. The prints were real. The identity key was real. Someone had not forged his past, someone had weaponized it. "I cannot explain evidence I did not create." Trevor reached for Nathan's arm. Nathan stepped back. Every guard in the room shifted. Emily appeared beyond the glass wall, returning with the school district driver after the temporary location closed early. She saw the adults surrounding her father. "Dad?" Nathan's attention moved to her for half a second. Trevor used that moment to pull his radio and order Nathan detained. Allison stepped between them. "No," Trevor's face flushed. "He is a former federal operative using a dead identity. His prints are on an illegal transmitter, and you are letting him stand beside classified material." "I am letting him stand where I can see him." Mitchell struck the table with his palm. "This is not leadership, Allison. This is panic wearing the shape of intuition." She turned on him. "You concealed 3 threats from the board. To protect 4,000 jobs. You protected a signing ceremony." Trevor ordered his guards forward anyway. Nathan did not resist. He looked at Allison. "If they remove me, the person who planted this will move." Allison held Trevor's gaze. "Touch him, and you are relieved of command." The boardroom went silent. Trevor removed his earpiece and placed it on the table with deliberate contempt. "When this building falls, it will be because you chose a stranger over the people who built it." Before Allison could answer, every ceiling light went dark. Emergency red illuminated the boardroom. Elevator displays froze between floors. Mobile signals vanished. 6 magnetic locks released below them in a measured sequence. Trevor snatched back his earpiece and entered his override code. The panel rejected it. "My credentials have been copied." Nathan held out his hand. "Manual keys." Trevor laughed without humor. "You expect me to hand control to the man whose fingerprints are inside the breach?" "No. I expect Allison to decide." Allison took the ring from Trevor and gave it to Nathan. 6 black sport utility vehicles turned beneath the entrance canopy. 12 figures entered in 2 groups wearing identical jackets. Nathan watched them through the reflection in the rain-dark windows. The first 6 checked exits and ceiling corners, the second copied them half a beat late. Do not look at the doors, he told Allison. The glass shows who is acting and who is rehearsing. The service elevator chimed. Rachel stepped out with 5 federal agents. She saw Nathan but did not call him commander. Black Harbor Code confirmed, she said. Who transmitted the duplicate? A second signal appeared from somewhere beneath the executive floor. Its encryption carried an authentication sequence created by Elias Voss. Rachel's expression hardened. That key died in Baltimore. The wall screen activated. Elias appeared. In shadow, one side of his face marked by a pale burned scar. No, he said. You buried it there. Nathan moved closer to the screen. Where is Emily? Allison turned. The chair outside the glass wall was empty. Brooke checked the corridor feed. The district driver lay conscious but disoriented inside a locked service office. Emily's purple backpack had disappeared. Nathan's control broke. He crossed the room and slammed both hands against the table hard enough to shake every glass. Where is my daughter? Elias smiled without warmth. Now the great Nathan Rourke is willing to sound afraid. Rachel ordered a building-wide search. Elias interrupted by placing 3 camera feeds on the screen. One showed Emily seated behind reinforced glass, clutching her yellow flashlight. Another showed 6 imposters moving toward the defense archive. The third showed the emergency safe room, where the board's biometric console waited. A countdown appeared, 42 minutes until the contract transfer locked the archive permanently. I need the flashlight Hannah gave your daughter, Elias said. I need Allison's biometric approval. Give me both, and Emily walks out. Nathan's voice dropped to a whisper. If you touch her, you will do what? Make another urgent decision before all the questions are answered. Elias then addressed Allison. Your company bought the routing ledger that got Hannah killed. Your chief financial officer buried the acquisition. Your security director opened the path. Ask them which one wants you alive after midnight. Mitchell denied it immediately. Trevor accused him of lying. Brooke found invoices routed through both departments. Voices rose. Directors moved away from one another. Elias had achieved exactly what Nathan predicted, the room was tearing itself apart. Then the ventilation system stopped. A warning appeared beneath Emily's camera feed. Air circulation, 37 minutes. Elias looked directly at Nathan. Choose the company, choose the truth, or choose your child. This time, everyone gets to watch. Nathan stared at Emily's image while the countdown continued. 36 minutes. The legendary commander disappeared, a frightened father remained. He reached for the stairwell, but Allison blocked him. Running blind is what he wants. Move. No, Nathan's eyes hardened. That is my daughter. And he built the route for you. You take one unverified door, and he moves her or seals the room. Nathan stepped closer until Trevor's guards raised their hands. Do not use my own warning against me. Allison did not retreat. Then stop proving him right. 6 years ago, I waited for people above me to decide what counted as enough evidence. Then I moved because they were afraid of delay. Hannah died. Do not ask me to stand here while a clock runs beside my child. Allison's voice rose for the first time. I am not asking you to stand still. I am asking you not to make Emily pay for your guilt. Rachel pulled the old utility plans onto the boardroom screen. Emily's feed originated beneath the 31st floor, where a sealed tunnel joined the building's original archive. The reversed safe room contained the only executive biometric console linked to that tunnel. Elias needed Allison alive and mobile. Nathan forced his attention back to the facts. He has not taken her out of the building. The camera feed has no rain interference. The ventilation warning is real, but the time is manipulated. He wants urgency to control us. Trevor identified 3 mechanical routes. Brooke found that one had been renovated under Mitchell's budget. Mitchell insisted he had approved only fire protection work. Trevor accused him of creating a private escape corridor. Mitchell responded by revealing that Trevor's deputy had accepted payments from a shell vendor. Trevor lunged across the table and seized Mitchell's jacket. Rachel's agent separated them. "Both of you stop," Nathan shouted. "This is why he chose this building. Every one of you would rather prove another person guilty than become useful." Trevor's anger shifted toward Nathan. "You brought him here." "Yes," Nathan said. The admission stopped the room. "He came because I abandoned the investigation. He came because I left Hannah's evidence sealed inside my daughter's flashlight for 6 years. That is my failure. It does not absolve yours." Allison ordered Trevor to disclose every override and Mitchell to surrender his credentials. Mitchell refused until she threatened immediate removal by the board. Trevor surrendered his keys but demanded to lead the tunnel team. "You ignored me all day," Nathan said. Trevor looked toward Emily's feed. "Then let me spend the next 30 minutes doing something other than defending it." Allison removed her shoes, took an emergency torch and told Rachel to prepare a false biometric layer. Nathan objected. "You stay here. He requires my palm. That makes you a target. It also makes me leverage." Nathan stepped into her path. "You are not trained." Allison looked at the child behind the glass. "Neither is Emily." She moved past him. For the first time, Nathan had to follow someone else into danger. The 31st floor was dark except for Allison's torch and the red emergency strips fading along the baseboards. Nathan, Allison and Trevor entered the records corridor while Rachel guided 2 agents through a parallel service route. Brooke remained upstairs with the board, monitoring camera loops. Mitchell stayed under guard but continued tracing payments. A fire door slammed behind them while another locked ahead. Elias's voice emerged from ceiling speakers. 3 leaders in one corridor. Which one will betray the others first? Trevor reached for a manual release. Nathan stopped him. Fine silver wire had been fastened around the handle. Alarm trigger. Trevor pulled his hand back. "I did not see it. That has been the problem all day." Trevor turned on him. "You think grief makes you infallible?" Nathan's jaw tightened. "No. I think arrogance made both of us expensive." Allison forced them apart before the argument could become exactly what Elias wanted. Brooke found an alternate path through legal storage. Halfway there, Emily's feed changed. Elias entered the room and removed the flashlight from her hands. Emily stood and tried to take it back. Nathan struck the locked door beside him with his fist. "Elias." The camera audio opened. Emily's voice trembled. "Dad, he says Mom trusted him more than you." Nathan closed his eyes. "Your mother trusted truth. Not what people did in its name." Elias held the flashlight near the terminal. "Tell her why Hannah called me before Baltimore." Nathan said nothing. Elias did it for him. Hannah had discovered protected route data being sold through a contractor later acquired by Pierce Meridian. She believed someone inside Black Harbor was compromised. She called Elias because Nathan had already accepted pressure to keep the movement on schedule. "She thought you had stopped listening," Elias said. Nathan looked at Emily through the screen. She was right. Trevor and Allison both turned toward him. Nathan continued, forcing each word through shame. "I believed delaying the convoy would endanger the witness. I believed I could control the risk. Your mother asked me to wait. I did not." Emily pressed her hand to the glass. "Did you make her die?" "No," Elias answered before Nathan could. "The people who sold the route did. But your father gave them the moment they needed." Nathan did not defend himself. "I made the wrong call." Elias's certainty faltered. He had expected denial. Allison used the silence to press forward. At the maintenance lift, a hidden sensor waited beneath the palm reader. Nathan told her not to touch it. Allison pressed her hand down anyway. He grabbed her wrist too late. I gave you a direct instruction. You do not command me. That print opens the archive. Allison peeled away a transparent polymer layer Rachel had placed over her palm. It opens nothing. Nathan stared at her. Allison's voice was cold. You are not the only person in this building capable of making a plan. The lift opened. Then Trevor's radio crackled. Mitchell had found the shell vendor's true owner, Elias Voss. Trevor's former deputy had not betrayed the building for money. Elias had blackmailed him with evidence connected to his son. As the lift descended, the ventilation countdown reached 14 minutes. The utility tunnel smelled of wet concrete and warm electrical insulation. Lights activated one by one, drawing them toward the reinforced archive room. Emily sat behind glass. Elias stood beside her with the flashlight open on the terminal. The data capsule sat inside its battery housing. Allison's false print was clever, he said. It cost you 11 minutes. Above Emily, a screen flashed, emergency purge armed. Nathan recognized the system. It would destroy the ledger and seal the room. Release Emily before you start it, Nathan said. Give me Allison's real approval. No, Elias placed his hand on the trigger. Then Hannah's evidence dies in front of you, and your daughter remains behind the door until the purge completes. Allison stepped toward the terminal. Nathan blocked her. She shoved his arm aside. He has the only complete record. He also has Emily. Exactly. Allison accused Nathan of treating every other life as secondary once his daughter was threatened. Nathan accused Allison of still valuing the company's truth more than the child standing behind the glass. Elias watched them fracture. Trevor finally shouted, he is doing it again. Stop giving him the argument. Nathan looked at Allison. If you authorize the archive, he gains control of the defense network. Allison answered, if we refuse, he destroys evidence that could clear Hannah and expose everyone responsible. I would burn every file in this building to bring Emily home. Allison held his gaze. And when she grows up and learns her mother's truth disappeared because we panicked? She lifted the open flashlight and struck its side against the metal chair, knocking the data capsule beneath the table and out of Elias's reach. Elias grabbed for it. Nathan shouted the mechanical release code. Trevor turned the emergency wheel. It jammed. Brooke found a secondary fire circuit hidden in renovation invoices. Mitchell identified the junction from the payment ledger. Rachel ordered an agent to cut power to the magnetic lock. Elias recovered the capsule and reached for the trigger again. Allison placed her real palm against the archive console, but instead of granting Elias local control, she authorized an immediate mirror transfer to 3 independent federal servers and every board terminal upstairs. The ledger began leaving the room. Elias stared at the progress bar. You just handed classified evidence to people who buried it once. Allison's voice did not shake. No. I handed it to too many people to bury. The ventilation warning dropped to 90 seconds. Nathan pulled at the release until the wheel tore skin from his palms, but the lock did not move. Emily pressed both hands to the glass. Dad. Nathan's composure failed completely. I am here. Trevor abandoned the wheel, opened the service panel and reached into the live mechanical linkage despite Rachel's warning. You lose command if you do this wrong, Nathan said. Trevor looked at Emily. I lost it this morning. He disengaged the secondary latch. The magnetic lock released 1 inch. Nathan forced the door open far enough for Allison to pull Emily through. Elias remained inside with the purge terminal and the final local copy. Rachel's agents entered from the opposite passage. Elias could have surrendered. Instead, He locked his hand around the capsule and demanded Nathan admit that Baltimore had been his fault. Nathan held Emily against his chest. I made the wrong decision. I failed Hannah. I failed Rachel. And then I hid from the truth because guilt felt easier than responsibility. Elias's face tightened with years of anger. Then say I was right. Nathan shook his head. You were right about the corruption. You were wrong the moment you used my child to prove it. The mirrored transfer reached 100%. Elias's leverage disappeared. He released the purge control and raised his hands. Rachel took the capsule from him. Above them, the imposter team surrendered after every stolen credential was revoked and their escape vehicles were locked inside the loading bay. Trevor's hands shook from the release mechanism. Allison stood barefoot in tunnel water, holding Emily's flashlight. Nathan knelt before his daughter. I am sorry. Emily wrapped both arms around him. You came. Nathan closed his eyes. I should have come back to the truth years ago. 3 weeks later, the executive boardroom looked unchanged, but Pierce Meridian no longer operated as if appearance were proof of safety. Federal investigators confirmed that Hannah's data capsule contained the missing Baltimore ledger. Several former officials were charged with selling protected routing information and obstructing the original inquiry. Elias Voss faced charges for kidnapping, unlawful access, impersonation of federal officers, and conspiracy, although his evidence also reopened cases the government had buried. Mitchell Crane resigned after admitting he suppressed threats to preserve the defense agreement. He was not charged with the breach, but Allison refused to excuse a decision that placed valuation above safety. Trevor Lang offered his resignation. Allison declined it. Instead, she removed his executive authority and required him to rebuild the reporting system under independent review. Resignation would let you leave with one honest statement, she told him. Repair requires more. Brooke became the first director of internal integrity, reporting to the full board rather than the chief executive alone. The $280 million agreement was delayed and eventually signed only after Pierce Meridian accepted federal oversight and published a protected channel through which any employee, guard, contractor, or cleaner could report a threat without managerial approval. Allison met Nathan in the lobby where he had signed the temporary assignment sheet. Emily stood beside him with her purple backpack. The original yellow flashlight was sealed inside a federal evidence pouch. She carried a new one, identical except for a blue strip of tape around the handle. Allison offered Nathan the position of Vice President of Strategic Security. Nathan did not accept. I spent 6 years avoiding responsibility because I was afraid of making another wrong decision, he said. Taking an office because everyone now thinks I am always right would be the same mistake in reverse. He proposed a 6-month advisory role instead, with authority shared among security, legal, operations, and employee representatives. Allison agreed. Nathan added 2 conditions: no warning could be dismissed solely because of the speaker's title, and he would leave every weekday at 3:15 for school pickup. That one is not negotiable, Emily said. Allison smiled. Understood. Then she apologized, not for failing to recognize a secret commander, but for seeing Nathan's work shirt, his child, and his temporary badge as reasons to reduce the weight of his judgment. Nathan accepted without pretending the apology erased the morning. Trevor approached Emily and apologized for the daycare remark. She considered him carefully. You should not say things quietly if you do not want children to hear them, she said. Trevor nodded. You are right. 3 months later, a glass case appeared inside the new operations center. It did not hold Nathan's federal insignia or Emily's flashlight. It held the first report Nathan had placed on Trevor's desk, the one that had been pushed back unread. Beneath it, a brass plate carried a sentence selected by Emily. The warning was small. The mistake was not listening. Nathan visited the case once, then left the building at 3:15. Outside, Emily waited beneath the canopy, swinging her backpack by one strap. Allison watched from the lobby but did not see a hidden hero walking away from people who had finally recognized him. She saw something more difficult and more human, a father who had been brave enough to return, honest enough to admit where he had failed, and wise enough not to confuse being needed with belonging everywhere except beside his daughter.